Alright, back to do Fight Night 24. We have a number this time. Normally I don't know the number. Main event is Lil Nog versus Phil Davis, which was originally supposed to be Lil Nog versus Tito. Injuries happened, and so on. So, what do I think of the card as a whole? Very good card. Perhaps not the most interesting in terms of outcome, but the way I see some of these fights panning out excites me a little bit. I really want to see it. So, starting off with probably the most boring fight of the night, Lil Nog versus the Carney Lance. Lil Nog, I've expressed this many times. Why are you in the UFC? Not that you'll have an answer, but why were you ever signed? I just don't understand people who lose a tryout fight on Tough and don't look impressive. Another one is Pablo Garza. Another one is Lil Nog. And you get a chance in the UFC. And there are people that look good, and against people who won the show, in the case of, say, Steve Burns, who lost to Sadal in a qualifying fight, who had a chance in the UFC and looked really good against Logan Clark. If you haven't seen that fight, go look for it. It was on the first Fight for the Troops, I think. It was a very good middleweight contest. And he got cut. I mean, got brought back in the UFC for the Tough, and then lost. And yeah, I understand if you kind of go on a tear outside of the UFC, but not happening. Not the case here. Two wrestlers face each other. Who has the better MMA wrestling? Probably Nick Lance. Till it happens, we don't know, but Nick Lance is, beaten definitely some stiffer competition. Taking him by unanimous decision tends not to finish people. Okay, then we have Mario Miranda, Aaron Simpson. Aaron Simpson should win. Better wrestler, really good chin, really heavy hands. Mario Miranda struggles when you put him on his back, but Aaron Simpson likes to brawl in the I got to put on an exciting fight at the expense of my record kind of style. So I'm still going to take him because he might actually even win that way, but I don't know. My faith would be a lot higher in this pick if he would fight smart. Anyways, Aaron Simpson, probably unanimous decision. Johnny Hendricks, TJ Waldberger, not a big believer in TJ Waldberger, I guess would be the best way of putting it. Johnny Hendricks, very explosive, very fast, very good wrestling. Stand-up's pretty good, sometimes with some holes in it. Had the setback against Rick Story. Rick Story is a fine fighter, though. I see him taking Waldberger probably with a second round TKO, the first finish of the night, I'm predicting. He has, like I said, very heavy hands. Potentially first round, but definitely an up-and-coming prospect. Heavyweight bout for the night, or is it still a heavyweight bout? Yes, it is. Sean McCorkle versus Christian Morecraft. We both last saw these guys losing to Stefan Struve. Morecraft did it by pounding the face in and a little bit of gassing and a little bit of this just magical Stefan Struve component of you can't kill me. McCorkle we saw submit Mark Hunt with a pretty basic submission and lose to Stefan Struve by submission. I'm sorry. Want to say triangle. I don't know a lot about either of these fighters, honestly. I had seen them before they fought in the UFC, but not enough to be overly impressed with either of them. So, I'm going to go with Christian Morecraft because I'm giving him the benefit of the doubt that his issues with Struve came from, one, throwing way too many punches, and two, a little bit of octagon jitters, and his cardio will be better. And McCorkle's will be probably about the same we saw in the Struve fight, which was starting to gas about halfway through the first round. So Morecraft, I'm going to say by second round TKO of a very tired Sean McCorkle. Then we got Edwin Figueroa, Michael McDonald. Very excited. These two fighters pretty similar in the fact that they're quite well rounded. I'm going with McDonald. I think he just overmatches Figueroa kind of all around, but Figueroa is undefeated, and the problem is he's 7-0. I've heard of one guy he's fought in Johnny Bedford, But he did beat him, and he beat him convincingly, and no one's really put him in trouble. I just am taking somewhat the more known commodity, I suppose, with Michael Mayday McDonald for a unanimous decision, possibly late third stoppage. But I'm feeling a decision. Then we got Chris McRae versus John Hathaway. McRae's a pretty big 170er and very athletic, and that's probably all he has going for him in the fight. To be honest, Hathaway is a better striker, better wrestler, and I feel a better ground guy. So I'm going with John Hathaway. The unanimous decision, because I do not see him being able to TKO him, and I don't particularly see him being able to submit him. But I'm worried of Chris McRae just coming out and proving that athleticism and size can outdo technique. And we will see in this fight. I was wrong. There is another heavyweight fight. John Madsen, Michael Russo, both guys heavy hands. Both guys very good wrestlers. Both guys don't look the image of a fighter because they're both kind of pudgy. This comes down to, I suppose, two things: who's the better wrestler and who has the better cardio. And unfortunately, it's kind of split. I feel, without really knowing college credentials or anything, that Madsen's the better fighter. Why? Because Madsen goes in there and has literally buzzsawed through everyone that he's trying to take down. Whereas Russo had a lot of trouble taking down Todd Duffy, who admittedly we haven't seen get taken down much, but wasn't even close. So I gotta give that edge to Madsen. That being said, cardio-wise, Madsen seems to progressively wear down as the fight continues. So if this goes into the later rounds, the chance of Mike Russo maybe catching a big haymaker kind of goes up. That being said, I gotta take the guy who I think has the superior skill set and not just the cardio, and that is John Madsen. So I'm taking a unanimous decision because Mike Russo's got one hell of a chin after the Todd Duffy beatdown. Then we got Mackin Semenzer, probably wrong pronunciation there, against Alex Caceres, aka Bruce Leroy from the GSP Koscheck Season of Tough. What do we got here? If you watch Bruce Leroy's earlier fights, he can be mentally broken. That being said, Michael Johnson couldn't do it on The Ultimate Fighter. So where does that really leave us? Bruce Leroy fancies himself a solid striker. Problem is, we've seen every other supposedly solid striker who's fought Michael Johnson kind of light him up. Bruce Leroy didn't really do that. He's got some subs off his back, but it doesn't seem like he really knows what he's doing. Sometimes it seems kind of instinctual, which is good. But if you ask him to describe, I suppose, what he did, he doesn't really have it. Mackin Semenzer, kind of the same, but very good athlete. Beat Wagner Fabiano with a submission, which is still stunning. I'm going to go with Semenzer. I'm going to say a third round tap out, because I do have a little bit of concern about Bruce Leroy cardio and just his all-round skill set. I have questions about Mackin's as well, but just not as good, I guess. Not as big of questions, I suppose. We got the rematch of the Korean Zombie versus Leonard Garcia. Taking Leonard Garcia via split decision, he'll probably lose the fight again and get a decision. That seems to be the Leonard Garcia MO. See the Nam fan fight, see the first fight with the Korean Zombie for, in a nutshell, what I mean. So, there you go. Probably will be a stand-up, brawlish war with absolutely no technique and a lot of blocking punches with your face. A lot of people will love it. I wasn't really that big of a fan of the first one. Maybe that's just elitist of me, but it is what it is. Amir Spadala, Jamarcus Johnson, two guys who are off tough pay, of course. Not particularly going anywhere in terms of the upper echelons of the division. Probably never will, but I think the styles make an interesting matchup. In Amir Sadallah, you have a kickboxer with a pretty good ground game, but perhaps struggling in takedown defense. In DeMarcus Johnson, you have a wrestler who has pretty good submissions, who, well, his offensive striking is actually reasonably good. His defensive striking, I think, leaves a lot to be desired. So I'm taking Sadallah because I do not think Johnson can finish him. Johnson's wrestling is not amazing to the point where he'll just power the double leg like repetitively. And Sadallah, I think, can win the stand-up exchanges. So I'm going with Amir Sadallah via unanimous decision because I don't see him really having the power to finish Johnson. But that is that. Dan Hardy, Anthony Johnson. Potential to be a really, really good fight. Both guys with pretty solid stand-up credentials. That being said, I'm not sure if Anthony Johnson will want to stand with him. Anthony Johnson, a guy who I have a pet peeve with due to his not making weight repetitively. But he does have a considerable wrestling advantage. And I don't think Dan Hardy has a good enough ground game to submit him off of his back. And if he is... And we have seen Johnson employ the shoot and take him down game plan before. So it's not unheard of. I kind of see Johnson coming out there. He will trade. There will be sections of trading, which maybe Hardy may even win, although I'm not really sure who the better striker is. Because I think technically it is Hardy, but Johnson, I think, brings a power edge and brings a speed edge, while Hardy is quite quick in his own right, and he's respected as this big knockout artist, but outside of Rory Markham, who has no defensive stand-up and no real chin, I haven't seen him knock anyone else out. Maybe I'm missing something. In a one-punch, you're down fashion. We've seen that with Anthony Johnson. He will go in there and he will go to sleep if he lands something solid. So I'm going with Anthony Johnson via the unanimous decision, though a knockout would in no way surprise me either way. Lil Nog versus Phil Davis. Even a year ago, I would have gone heavily in favor of Lil Nog. Issue is Lil Nog in fights with Ryan Bader and Jason Brills did not look very good. He beat Brills, in my opinion, a 50-50 fight to the point where I wasn't going to be angry either way. I actually thought he looked better against Bader, ironically, because at least he managed to tee off him on the feet a bit. But still got taken down at will, still couldn't submit him from his back. And I think Phil Davis brings a more dynamic and explosive wrestling game than Brills or Bader. I think he brings a similar Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu level game to nullifying Lil Nog's submissions. So Phil Davis, unanimous decision. What could be kind of interesting, though, in a chess match sort of way. So that is my breakdown for the card. I hope you enjoyed it, and I really hope you enjoy the card.